Iowa goes to William Byron, and so does the NASCAR Cup Series points lead. And with 3 races to go, a lot of drivers on the outside looking in. These are our top stories on this edition of Fast Talk.
Fast Talk is presented by Toyota. For the latest Toyota Gazoo racing information, visit tgrna.com. And by Sunoco. From NASCAR to your car, Sunoco Fuel helps your car reach peak performance. Now, here's the host of Fast Talk, Doug Rice.
Super happy to be with you on this edition of Fast Talk, coming from the PRN studios at the lovely Charlotte Motor Speedway. I'm with Alexis Erickson. Brad Gilley joins us from his secret bunker somewhere deep in the heart of Texas, where he had been hanging out in South Dakota in the shadow of Mount Rushmore. Brad Gilley, share with us why you were up north.
We had a wonderful wedding. My now wife, Kathleen, and I got married right there inside the park at Mount Rushmore with all the boys looking on, from George to Thomas to Teddy and Abe. So we had a great time, brought all the family up there and just and really had a wonderful wedding.
Congratulations. We are so happy for you guys. Loved seeing all the pictures. Just a blessed event.
Brad, I have to ask, why Mount Rushmore? I should have asked you this months ago, but I'm curious.
You know, it's funny because, and you guys have been a part of this all along, but, we were just talking one day and we've been engaged for a while, almost 2 years now, and thought, okay, let's do it, but where? And we had gone there a couple of years ago, and Kathleen was a history teacher. She's now an English teacher, but we just really loved it up there. Rapid City, the Black Hills, the whole area in South Dakota was beautiful, and we thought, why not? And it was just an idea she had one night. And then the next question is, can you get married at Mount Rushmore? And it turns out you can. You have to get a permit, and it's a pretty simple thing. And the park is open, so everyone who was there could have attended, and people walking through and all of that. But we thought Mount Rushmore, with that as our background, would just be a really beautiful place, and it really was.
It made for wonderful pictures.
Yeah,
I
it
know
did.
that.
Yeah, it did.
Thank you.
One follow-up. You're going back to South Dakota shortly after we record this show, Pourquoi?
Yes, in less than 24 hours, I'll be back up there. The Sturgis Motorcycle Rally started this past week, which was also a lot of fun because we got to see all the motorcycles. But I was invited up there. Rusty Wallace does a ride for charity, which actually helps benefit the NASCAR Foundation. And on the SiriusXM side of things, we're actually going to do a show there on Friday. And there are just going to be a ton of people, NASCAR celebrities, people like Mike Skinner and Clint Boyer, Rusty Wallace, film celebrities, the guy who plays Shooter McGavin in the Happy Gilmore movies, and so many other people. Freddie Spencer, motorcycle racer, just a lot of fun. So we're going to do a show up there with Rusty's ride, which is going to be a really neat thing. So I look forward to that, and I'm actually going to try and knock 7 states off the list of states that I've ridden a motorcycle through on this one.
Well, I was going to ask you, because we all know that you're such a motorcycle enthusiast. How many do you have left? It can't be many.
I have 10.
Okay.
And basically, so Minnesota and Iowa west, if you go up there. So on this one, I'm going to get Nebraska, Minnesota, Iowa, North and South Dakota, Montana, and Wyoming. That's just going to leave Idaho, Washington, and Oregon. And who knows, maybe that'll be an item for the 2026 plan.
So there you go, folks. That's Brad Gilley living his best life as he returns on his motorcycle up to South Dakota. Tell you what, we're going to take a break. We'll come back and spend a little bonus time talking about William Byron and Iowa.
Here's what you missed last week on Toyota Gazoo Racing. Bubba was totally as he around the pack, managing to across the finish line to claim the in victory lane. Now you're up to speed. You in? Follow the action at tgrna.com. Toyota, let's go places. NASCAR is a registered trademark of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, LLC.
Whether your engine runs daily or only when you need it, Z-Max Micro Lubricant is the force you need against carbon buildup that can damage your engine. Combustion causes carbon and other harmful deposits to build up in your engine, fuel system, and transmission. And carbon is like sandpaper rubbing against your engine's internal parts. You don't want that. You want Z-Max Micro Lubricant. It soaks into metal and keeps your vehicle running at peak performance. Find out more at zmax.com or visit us on Facebook and Twitter. Protect your engine to the max with Z-Max.
This is Brad Keselowski, and you're listening to PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
Whether it's skating around the racetrack on a set of rollerblades or turning laps in a Legends car, join JC Fickenshire on JC's Garage.
All it takes is one win, and that one win can completely clear the driver's mind. I could even see it happening if Todd Gilliland wins a race or Noah Gragson wins a race, Zane Smith wins a race. These guys are guys who are just searching for one win, one chance.
JC's Garage, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
Hey, it's Charlie and Debbie, along with NASCAR legend Kyle Petty, inviting you to join us for Kyle Petty's Back Then Again Country Countdown.
Each week, we'll put it in reverse and take a trip down memory lane, looking back at that week's top 20 country songs from years past.
We'll dive into what made those songs and artists move the needle, what pop culture trends made those years unique.
And you'll get to hear me tell stories only I can tell.
So don't miss Kyle Petty's Back Then Again Country Countdown right here each week.
While our Brad Gilly was gallivanting across the Dakotas, getting married, and now he's going to go back on his motorcycle, there was a little race action taking place in the cornfields of Iowa. When it was all said and done, William Byron took home the trophy.
This is going to be a big momentum boost for our team, just to be able to kind of check that one off the list and keep carrying the speed that we've had. Kind of opens up a big door and window for us, because this has probably been, these tracks have been the area we've needed to work on the most. So just happy to be in a position to win today. I felt like we were a top 3 or 4 car, and it's just awesome to come home with a win.
Alexis, we're finally talking about William Byron getting back to victory lane after winning the season opening Daytona 500, which is not bad, but he hadn't built on that since then as far as W's are concerned.
And great timing, right? I mean, 4 races before we get to the playoffs, that confidence booster for that team. He went 144 laps, I believe, on a tank of fuel to bring the 24 car home in victory lane. Huge day for that team. The race yesterday was, it was interesting because, the first stage was kind of quiet. There was no natural cautions. The second stage, it ramped up just a little bit. And then that third stage, it was caution after caution after caution, which I have to say, I did not expect to see that. And it got to the point where there were so many cautions, I was even a little bit confused on whose strategy was going to work and not work, just because there were so many things jumbling it up. But kudos to that team for picking the right strategy, having the cards fall where they needed them to fall, and bringing that car home in victory lane, because that's a huge win for William Byron. He overtakes the regular season points because of that, and obviously, like I said before, boosts his confidence heading into the playoffs here in just a couple weeks.
Brad, after running out of fuel at Indy and again at Michigan, the third time a charm for William Byron.
It is a charm, and it was so fascinating just to see the tension that went along with this. There are times where fuel mileage races just become so interesting because you have to wonder, can they do it? Can they do it? And to me, that's the anticipation ramping up in almost the same way if a couple of drivers are trying to trade the lead. And we saw that early on in the race with how strong Brad Keselowski was in that big battle that he had at the beginning of the race. But, sitting there watching this one and thinking to myself, oh my gosh, can they? And they did, was a great thing. But here's the other thing. I don't really feel like they stole a victory either. William Byron was the runner-up there last year. He was strong in the first stage of this race. And this is one thing that I love about it. Strategy comes into play, and it's a big part of it. And it had to play out all the way to the end. You did not know what was going to happen until the checkered flag.
Byron led 141 laps onto his second win of the season. Another guy that's on a tear as we get ready to hit in the playoffs is Chase Briscoe.
I got to William, and then once I got there, I just kind of died. I didn't really have anything else left, and he was able to, drive away there. So he did a really good job, and just wish they would repave this place all the way to the wall, just so we kind of had more room to, move around. Just it's such a track position race with the dirty air and stuff, and you're kind of limited of where you can run. So maybe next year we'll come back and, they repave it all the way to the wall.
All right, forgive me, Brad, but the team in the Bass Pro Shops car is starting to reel in the rest of the field.
Oh, there you go. See, this is what we love about Doug Rice, by the way. Yes, they are starting to reel in the field. Think
I
about
hate
this.
myself.
I know. All the front row starting spots that they've had here recently and being able to start on the pole. But yet another runner-up finish for Chase Briscoe. Great that they did get the win earlier this season. But I'll tell you what, they are truly on top of their game. And I wish I could think of another Doug Rice-type pun, but I can't. I don't know that anyone can top that one.
Well, my first thought when we started to talk about Chase Briscoe was, boy, they've got speed. And I know how Doug loves that.
I love that. I am so over that.
Well, I mean, speed. 6 poles on the season, you can't deny they've got speed. You know, they're doing it. Him and James Small, you know, they're clicking and they're they're coming into their own. And I think they could be, you know, they could make a deep run in the playoffs.
A guy that looked really good in the first 2 stages, wound up third, was Brad Keselowski, Alexis. For me, sentimentally, that's who I would have loved to have seen win this race because he's trying so hard. But this third place finish really doesn't do anything for him.
It doesn't. It needed to be a win to get into the playoffs, and so close. But you have to think that, you know, this run is making them more confident in what they can possibly do the next 3 weeks. I think Richmond, you know, you think about Richmond coming up. It's after Watkins Glen is next, then Richmond, then Daytona. You think about Richmond and you think short track. We haven't seen that great races on short tracks, but this race in Iowa leads me to believe that Richmond might produce a first-time winner, and it very well could be a Brad Keselowski or a Ryan Preece or an Austin Dillon. Think about what happened there last year. So I think Richmond is shaping up to be very interesting, and it could put Brad Keselowski yet again in another good position to potentially win his way in, because we know that's the only way that team is going to get into the playoffs this year.
So, Brad, what are you thinking? Are we just wishful thinking here on Brad K? You know, because like I said, that third place looked good. They got a lot of TV time, but he gets no rewards out of that.
He gets no rewards, you're right. But, you know, again, looking a little bit deeper, number one, that battle he had with William Byron in the first stage of the race was incredible. The fact that he won 2 stages. But here's the other thing. And, you know, Brad's probably not one that we talk about, like, are they going to win again, or retirement and all of these things. I know his name comes up in that deal, but he won last year. And what we saw yesterday at Iowa Speedway was the same Brad that we saw win a championship in 2012, the same Brad that we've seen go out there and fight hard and battle for wins. He still has that fight in him. And then RFK as a whole, I mean, again, Ryan Preece is running very strong. They have a lot of speed. Sorry, I had to take it from you too, Alexis. But and Chris Buescher is running very well. So I think enjoying watching Brad Keselowski fight up front is a great thing. And to Alexis' point about Richmond, go back and look at Keselowski's record at Richmond. It's pretty dang stellar.
All right, we'll see how all that plays out. He had a nice day, but it's like flying on an airline and they don't give you any points.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
that was bad.
It was a very nice day for that team, and again, pretty much all they can take from that is a confidence boost, maybe a good setup to Richmond to potentially have, you know, put themselves in the position again. But yesterday amounted to nothing when it came to Brad Keselowski's playoff.
But a great day for William Byron, though, as
Yep.
he gets some more playoff points and feathers his nest a little bit more. And we'll be back and talk about the points after we have 3 races left to go in the regular season.
From fueling NASCAR champions on the track for over 20 years to innovating 94 Octane, the highest octane on the market. Performance is what Sunoco does. All Sunoco fuel at the pump meets the same top-tier standards as the fuel used in NASCAR. From the track to your tank, you can trust Sunoco to help your vehicle perform at its peak.
This is Kyle Petty for Echo Park Automotive, and I'm here to tell you why you should shop Echo Park before you buy a car, truck, or SUV. Over half of inventory at Echo Park is priced below $25,000, and car for car, truck for truck. Echo Park Automotive's pricing is $3,000 less than the competition. Maybe that's why Echo Park has over 95,000 five-star reviews. Echo Park Automotive is built to make sure you drive away happy. It's even in their name, Echo Park Automotive. Every car, happy owner. The official used car dealer of Speedway Motorsports.
This is Ryan Preece, and you're listening to PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
Truex on the inside, Byron in the middle, Chastain up high.
Hamlin now beginning to come to the front. He's got the edge now. He'll take the lead away.
Brian Blaney sliding down into the grass. There was a lot of bumping and grinding, and Blaney noses into the infield retaining wall.
Ross Chastain doing a great job. Truex right there, big in his mirror as they race down the backstretch here. Harrison Burton is spinning down the back straightaway. Everybody going to the top side. Here comes Kyle Larson. Larson dives to the bottom of the racetrack. He wants to lead all four.
Chris Buescher has the advantage and a spin off of turn 4.
Yeah, we've got a ton of cars that are in this one, and Larson is certainly one of those cars.
Trouble coming out of turn 4. Hamlin is sideways. The car spins down on the apron of the racetrack.
Byron takes that brightly painted number 24 to the front. He gets a big shove from Daniel Suarez.
This is PRN.
Fast Talk here on PRN. Doug Rice with Alexis Erickson and Brad Gilley. 3 races left to go in the regular season to decide the last playoff spots. And Alexis, as we're looking at us right now in the cutoff in the playoff standings, Chris Buescher is the last guy in. He's 29 to the good.
23
to the good over his teammate Ryan Preece, who's back there in 17th. Ryan Preece, as it looks to me right now, is the only driver that could possibly point his way in.
Yeah, I agree. And when you think about the fact that it's 2 teammates that are sitting there on the bubble, that's got to make things a little tense over there at the Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing Shop. But they also have to feel good about the fact that they both still have an opportunity to get in. But I agree, because when you look above that, Alex Bowman is plus 63, Tyler Reddick is plus 122. You have to think, most likely SVG is going to win at Watkins Glen next week. Okay, I'm not going to say it's a foregone conclusion, because we know we don't do that in sports, because anything can happen. But he's going to be the heavy-handed favorite going into next weekend at Watkins Glen. So that would be a repeat winner. So you're thinking potentially maybe 2 more could be first-time winners getting in. That would leave Tyler Reddick plus 122 pretty safe. And I think, if we don't have more than 2 first-time winners, Alex Bowman at plus 63 is probably pretty safe too. But Chris Buescher, Ryan Preece, they're on the hot seat and could exchange spots pretty easily. Kyle Busch is the next one down at negative 73, which is going to be a hard hill to climb, I think, unless he can win.
And Brad, it looks like right now, unless there are 3 different winners in these last 3 races, 3 drivers that have not won this year, Tyler Reddick will get in on points no matter what he does.
Yeah, I would agree, and I agree with Alexis' assessment. I mean, that's and I don't think we're ever going to have enough winners that we're booting winners out of playoffs contention. But the fascinating thing to me right now is how much RFK plays into that last playoff spot, because Chris Buescher, again, he's above the cut line. Last year, he beat Shane Van Gisbergen on the final lap to win Watkins Glen. That's where we're going this weekend. Yesterday, Brad Keselowski looked like he was strong enough to have winning speed. We go to Richmond next weekend, where he's been so good. And then again, Ryan Preece has been pretty strong throughout most of the summer. It's almost like those 3 teammates are all playing against each other while also having to work with each other for that final playoff spot right now.
Alex Bowman, kind of the odd man out right now. He's plus 63. He's good on points, I feel like, Alexis, unless we get multiple new winners.
Yeah, I would agree to that assessment as well. I thought it was interesting yesterday, not to kind of change the subject a little bit, but when Ryan Preece had his post-race interview on USA, he talked about, letting Brad Keselowski go because it was good for the team, in the end yesterday at Iowa. And I'm thinking to myself, like, that in itself is like teamwork, as Brad's talking about. They all have to kind of work together as a team, but yet they're all also in it to win it for themselves. That's got to be a really hard dynamic over there at RFK Racing.
That does, especially when nobody's locked in.
Right, nobody.
Yeah. I mean, they could all three miss it. In the right world, Brad, they could all three get in.
That is true. Hey, look, Chris Buescher could win this weekend. Ryan Preece could win Daytona. Brad Keselowski could win Richmond, and wouldn't that make things pretty interesting along the way? But look, it's a great thing if you're RFK. It's also a bad thing because really, this is how you wanted to start the season, not end the regular season. If they had started this way, or if maybe along the way, Chris Buescher didn't get a 30-point penalty, or Ryan Preece didn't have a 41-point penalty with the disqualification at Talladega, we would be looking at a little bit of a different scenario right now throughout all of this. But they are where they are, and they're there for a reason. And the fact that all three of them are fighting for what I feel is that last spot is pretty fascinating and fun to watch.
That's got to be really interesting to be in Brad Keselowski's head right now as far as I want to win, I want my people to win, I want all of us to win.
Building the drama, building the stress on Brad Keselowski, no doubt.
And, Alexis, you pointed this out before we came on. Josh Berry, who got a win very early on in the season, had to exhale yesterday after the way this race turned out.
He did. Yeah, he's the lowest in points right now of the drivers that have a win. And with 4 races to go before the Iowa race took place, if there would have been 4 new winners, which is it's an improbability, but it wasn't an impossibility, then he would have been bounced out. He would have been a winner who would have been on the outside looking in. But since we had a repeat winner in William Byron and there's only 3 races left, he and that team can breathe a sigh of relief today.
So good on him. Josh Berry, very likable guy, makes it into the playoffs now. So they will go into extra innings, so to speak, and continue on. Yesterday was the debut for USA NBC, and Lee Diffie back calling the shots, Brad. He catches a lot of flack from the public. And for the life of me, this one I don't understand. I understand why people get upset about other things, but to hammer on Lee Diffie because his accent is not the same as yours seems, I don't know, a little bit of a stretch.
It's baffling. And I truly feel like this is a very small group of folks, but it's also a very vocal group of folks. I love Lee Diffie. In fact, after seeing what Amazon Prime did, they had a great run of 5 races. I thought, man, like people are loving all of this. We're going to get Lee Diffie and NBC back. Yesterday, I was thrilled. He calls a race like no one else does. And we're pretty lucky that we actually have 3 really good anchors on television in our sport with Adam Alexander and Mike Joy as well. I was so excited watching that. And I just love his style. I like the accent personally. I don't understand why an accent offends so many people.
He's such a world-class broadcaster, in my opinion. And I think you're right, Brad. Like, I think it's a very small group of people, but this is what social media does, right? It amplifies their voice, and it makes it seem like there's a lot more people out there that have this opinion. I don't think that's true. I think most people fall where we fall in that we love Lee Diffie and love hearing him call races. And I, for one, am very excited to have him back on the broadcast.
And I have no reason to shill for Lee Diffie. I mean, I know who he is. We've interacted a couple of times. I like his approach. He is a broadcaster.
Yes.
He's not an ex-jock that's up there.
Exactly.
He actually calls race car drivers by their names and doesn't scream out car numbers for 3 hours. Yeah, really, really, how unique. I like that. I like his insight. But the biggest thing from me that I get from him on the TV broadcast is almost this childlike enthusiasm because he's not lived in NASCAR his entire life, and it's fresh and it's new to him. And to me, that comes through on the television. I don't care what the accent is.
He has an energy about what he does, and it comes through in the broadcast. It comes through in the way that he expresses himself. And I agree. I think he makes it very exciting, and I'm very excited to watch the remainder of this season because he's going to be in the booth.
I would agree. Yeah. I wouldn't care if he was calling NASCAR, IndyCar, sports car, Supercross, track and field, or snail racing.
Yeah.
It's going to be exciting hearing Lee Diffie call it.
And he's done a lot of everything, and he's done a ton of Olympics. So, Brad Gilley, you've been up in the booth this year with Mark Garrow for now about 2/3 of the season. How's the transition coming off of pit road up into the air conditioning been for you?
That part's been really awesome. It's all been awesome. Again, Doug, you and I have left many a racetrack for many years talking about, did we get to tell the story today? And it's a different part in telling the story. There's a lot more going on up there than what people realize, for sure, which I give you a lot of credit for having done it for 36 years, because there are a lot of moving parts and pieces that happen. But it's just fun to be able to tell the story and then be able to leave the racetrack and say, did we cover everything? Did we miss anything? Were people who were not at the racetrack, to something you have said, did we transport them there and make them feel like they were sitting in the grandstands watching? And it's such a joy to be able to do that. And transition's probably the best word, to be honest with you, because it is a transition. It's not like all of a sudden just flipping a switch and going from one to another. There are a lot of challenges up there, and it's a lot of fun in experiencing it. And I just leave every day just hoping I get better.
When we talk about television broadcasters, the way that our sport works is they have a run of races, and it goes from, back to back to back to back until they're done, and it transitions to a new team. We know that's not how it works in radio. You just came off of a 3 race or 4 races in 5 weeks run, and now we go the whole month of August where you're not in the booth. How is that transition for you, going from doing it week and week and week and then having this big break and then going back to it, after you have this big break?
For me, again, what I love about it is it's great that we have wonderful counterparts over at the Motor Racing Network to be able to listen to them. And I would say, to me, I look at it and say, all right, what can I do between now and Bristol to even continue to get better? And what can we do? A lot of times that's listening to other people, listening back to yourself and doing what we do. I think the time off of traveling, well, I say the time off of traveling, I don't seem to have stopped that, but that part's going to be much nicer. But yeah, look, you go into a long stretch where you're doing this for, a month, 2 months solid, week in and week out, and you just think, all right, I just need a little bit of a breather. I'm the type of person where you get that, and then I'm kind of itching to go, maybe Richmond next week wouldn't be too bad to go to, or maybe Daytona or something like that. So, as much as you enjoy the time off, you just want to get right back after it as well.
I want to address this about TV. It's the easiest thing in the world to criticize the television networks. It is. They're right there. They're in your living room. You're hanging on every word and every shot. And sometimes they get it right. Occasionally there are gaffes. Occasionally there are gaffes on the radio broadcast too. But I'll say this in defense of anybody covering motorsports. It is easily the hardest sport to cover in any sport. I went up to Bristol for the Braves-Reds game. Baseball's easy. All you got to do is follow the ball. From the pitcher to the catcher. Then when the batter hits it, you follow the ball to the outfield. That's really all you have to do. Football's the same way. Follow the ball and you tell the story. There is no ball in motorsports. There are 36 different players that all affect the outcome. And you cannot keep your eye on every single car. And I'm not making excuses for anybody. I don't get a check from NBC or Fox or anybody, but it is not as easy as it appears to be on the surface.
And when you think about it from a radio standpoint, there's more broadcasters and voices on a radio motorsports broadcast than there is on any other broadcast. And when you think about integrating all of those voices into one seamless broadcast, that's not easy to do.
How many folks did you guys have on the air at Indy, Brad?
At Indy, we had 4 turn announcers, 2 anchors, and 3 pit reporters. So if I'm doing the math right, that's 9 people that were a part of that broadcast. And it's interesting, like the baseball analogy is great, following the ball. And I love hearing baseball announcers. I truly do. But if a ball is hit to right field, left field, the third baseman, the shortstop, unless there are base runners, likely aren't doing anything but watching. Ours, every player, not only on the field, but also in the dugout and in the bullpen, they're all playing together at the same time.
Yeah, I vividly remember Benny Parsons telling me this story, that there was a driver that came to him and said, how can I get you to talk about me more on ESPN? This was back when Benny was doing it. And Benny told him, he said, you need to be the ball. And the driver looked at him like, what in the world are you talking about? He goes, he said, in all other sports, we talk about where the ball is. He said, you have to be the ball. He said, you have to get up and lead laps and be a part of the story. And he said, you haven't been the ball this year. That's why we don't talk about you. A good illustration. Well said. Great wisdom there from old BP. We'll take a break, come back. We're scheduled to talk with Ryan Ellis. He's got a new project going on. Make your plans now to stay at the South Point Hotel Casino and Spa when NASCAR returns to Las Vegas. They have great race ticket and room packages for you to choose from. The South Point also features a wide variety of excellent dining options at 11 different restaurants. Or you can enjoy the 16-screen movie complex and visit the 64-lane bowling center. Visit southpointcasino.com and make your reservations today. Stay where the racers stay at the South Point Hotel Casino and Spa.
When it comes to maintaining your engine to run at peak performance, trust ZMAX Micro Lubricant. ZMAX soaks into metal, so it's easy to add to your oil or gas to disperse carbon buildup in your engine, fuel system, and transmission. Protect your vehicle's engine to the max with ZMAX. Check us out at zmax.com or visit us on Facebook and Twitter to find out more about our full line of products. Remember the name ZMAX for your car, big rig, small engines, firearms, and more. That's ZMAX Micro Lubricant.
This is Daniel Suarez, and you're listening to the PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
A NASCAR memory with Doug Rice and Kyle Petty.
One of the most iconic moments in the history of the sport. Your dad and David Pearson racing for the win at Daytona 76.
I learned more from my dad in that moment than probably all the years of being his son before that. Ran that race, comes down to the last lap. Pearson passes Petty, Petty passes Pearson. My dad passes him going into turn 3, sweeps up in front of him. They kind of cross over. They get together coming out of turn 4. Even though they're running 180, 90, 200 miles an hour, it's the most slow motion wreck in the history of time. As you watch my dad spin and spin down into the grass, you watch Pearson's car with the front end just caved in come to a stop. And we all leave pit road and run out to the grass. You can see it's myself, it's Barry Dodson, it's Wade Thornburg, it's Dale Inman. We run out and we push the car across the line. We didn't know that if you help the car across the line on the last lap, you're penalized the lap. So if you go back and look at that, my dad finished one lap down in the Daytona 500 that year.
Always a treat when we get to have special guests here on Fast Talk. And right now it is nice of us to, for the second time this year, I believe, to have Ryan Ellis on from the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He's got an exciting new project going on, and he's just a good guy, and we enjoy talking to him. Ryan, thanks a lot for being on the show.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Well, Ryan, first and foremost, we obviously want to talk to you about your season in racing, but you've got something very cool going on this weekend coming up at Watkins Glen called Ryan's Riders. Talk to us a little bit about that and what that charitable thing is going to be this weekend.
Yeah, it's a program we've kind of been running in the background, I think, over the last couple of years. Honestly, mostly me and my mom, along with the teams that we've been running with at Alpha Prime and DGM Racing, and just trying to work with local organizations, mostly the Ronald McDonald House, to represent a kid who has been going through something tough in their life, whether it's medical or situational, and just trying to make their life a little bit better. We haven't been too public with it just because it's so much of our lives, and everything feels tied to corporate entities and just doing things because you're told to do it or it's good for press. So it's funny to mention in an interview, because obviously we've just been doing it silently, trying to feel better about everything that we do in the racing world, and trying to make the world a slightly better place, especially on those rough days at the racetrack. So we've been doing it kind of quietly, and Tableau's been really, really cool about working with us this year to highlight those kids and tell their story, and it's just been really, really cool to be part of it.
You know what? You have a special family who will be joining you at Watkins Glen this weekend, a special name that will be riding with you as well. Tell us about the family and how it came to be, how they're with you this weekend.
Yeah, once again, my mom is awesome. She's actually watching my 6-month-old daughter right now, so she is busy. Same thing with my sister and their family and their children. So she's working full time helping us out, but then she does outreach, and not too familiar with the family this weekend yet, but gonna dive into that stuff. Sunday is my mental cleanse day. Saturday, obviously, race day, and I know they're not English speaking as their first language, so it's going to be a little bit tougher to speak through a translator. But we've just met so many cool families and kids that over the last 3 or 4 years and had some terribly sad stories, whether it's bullying or the medical stuff, and had a few kids pass away because it's been terminal. So it's been invited to funerals, and you've seen all different sides of this program, but really, really excited to meet the family this weekend and hopefully make a positive experience for them.
So, Ryan, you're racing for DGM Racing in the number 71 on the NASCAR Xfinity Series. What is the expectation when you guys roll out? You're one of the smaller teams. You guys have to box above your weight each and every Saturday. Am I overstating that?
No, it's so funny because it feels like every week. I know every year gets tougher, but it feels like every week you look and you're racing a big team. There's a lot of weeks that we're racing a Joe Gibbs car for, whether it's 15th or 25th, or this weekend it was the 1700 car. There's so many Cup affiliated teams now and Cup teams that are racing in Xfinity. So I feel like we're one of the few small teams left. And a few years ago, it was not a big deal to finish top 15, I think, in a DGM car. And now I think it's a little different perspective. And we have to keep that in mind because you look at the average finish over the last 5 years and it might go down, but we're racing better teams. I mean, the Colleague cars are a perfect example. And Carson Hosfart did a great job last weekend, but for the most part, they're racing around us. And same thing with the Alpha Prime cars. We're kind of in our own little ballpark. So when we're able to race a Colleague car or Junior Motorsports or Gibbs, means a lot because they're running on 3-4 XR budget. And we have 3 or 4 guys full time in my car as well as the 91. And there's not a lot of teams left like that.
Ryan, I want to ask you about your outlook heading into a race like Watkins Glen. Do you look forward to the road courses? Is that something that you need to work more on? But I also want to highlight the fact that Tableau, your sponsor, is going to allow Ellis, the patient who's coming this weekend, and her family to ride on board of your car. Where will they be located on the paint scheme this weekend?
So it'll be on the passenger side name rail. So we always have them, riding along with us. Instead of having my name on the passenger side, and going to meet them Friday and get some content together and meet them. And it's obviously the Ellis synergy is pretty cool. But from a racing perspective, I used to love the road courses, and I might again after this weekend. I did a terrible job at Sonoma. I feel like personally we changed the tire, I think from last year, and a lot of people were just fighting for rear grip. And I fought for rear grip, it seemed like more than anybody at Sonoma. I self-spun twice, and I can't remember the last time that happened. But my background's in road racing. I just feel like we get to the crunch time at the end of those road courses, and we often get to a situation where it's just bumper cars, and I hate that. But I love what road courses, like the opportunity it can present. So I'm hoping we're able to capitalize on it this weekend with Tableau and obviously Ellis on board. But I don't know. It's just absolute chaos. And I think last year at the back straightaway at Watkins Glen, we had a 10, 12, 15 car accident in the Xfinity Series. And we came out with like a 13th place finish, and DGM came home with a top 10. So bars set a little bit higher there, but you just never know what you're going to get.
Yeah. Hopefully your Watkins Glen goes more like your Coda did, as opposed to Mexico City and Sonoma, to your point. But Tableau, a great sponsor that you've had this year. Tell us about bringing them on board and how much it's actually helped a team like yours.
Yeah, Tableau has been just an absolute dream come true. And they came in the sport at the perfect time. They're a device that allows you to get anything you would typically get over an antenna, as well as some streaming channels. So all of our races on NASCAR, or like in the CW, are on a Tableau device. So you're able to watch every Xfinity Series race. My family loves it because you can pause, you can watch it back, you can record things. And having 2 kids, that's phenomenal because there's absolute chaos in our house as well. But it grew from a 1-race partnership with Alpha Prime last year to through this year being one of our major partners, and the next year being our anchor partner. So it's been an absolute dream come true, for especially for me, our team, and just the ability to work with a company like them has been absolutely phenomenal. We've never had an onboard camera before, have all the closed captioning, advertising, and that brings a huge spotlight to not only myself but our partners and Tableau. So it has put us on a different platform that we've just never been on before.
So obviously Tableau is helping with the evolution of this team. Where do you see the evolution of this team as we, look towards finishing out this season? Like where, what would be your goal for the remainder of the year for the 71?
I'd love to be back in the top 20s for sure on a more weekly basis. We were tracking to get, I think, 12 or 15 of them and then got our top 10. I feel like I used all my luck up for the entire year at that race because it was just kind of downhill after that. Hoping to get top 20s every other week because that's still kind of punching above our weight class and get a few more top 10s, hopefully. We got some opportunities coming up at Daytona, Portland, Talladega later this year, but overall just continue growing the program and hopefully come back next year and be able to add things like leased motors that 25 to 28 of the cars have in our field every single week because we can get the car turning as well as we want, but we're still down a little horsepower. So all we can do to just provide the team with better equipment and put ourselves in a better spot for next year.
So, Ryan, I'm not trying to read into anything here, but it sounds like you're set to return to this team next year, the way you're talking.
I think so. Luckily, I have a management group at Motorsports Management International. I know they've been talking probably at least every week. So we're close. I'd like to think that it's, pretty much close to done. But yeah, I don't know. Luckily, I don't have to worry about that stuff. I just always assume we're coming back until we're not. And I love working with Mario and that whole team. So it's definitely like plan A. And I from everything I know, it's their plan A too.
Big fan of Mario Gosselin. Neat guy. So, well,
Great family.
Hopefully that's going to be the case. Good luck with this promotion and good luck this weekend at Watkins Glen.
Thank you. I really appreciate you guys having us on.
All right. If you're looking for an underdog to pull for, not a bad guy to pick out. Ryan Ellis, he'll be in the number 71 this weekend at the Glen. Green flag, black flag rolls your way next.
Listen up, fellow timeshare owners. If you're a timeshare owner and you want out at all costs, you're done, frustrated, tired of wasting money, you don't use the darn thing. Get out now. Hire the best Bulldog timeshare cancellation team in the business. Their in-house legal team, headed by a timeshare cancellation lawyer, can help you fight the biggest and baddest companies out there that sell timeshare. At some point, you were using your timeshare, but now you're not, and you're tired of wasting money. Before you go to the poorhouse, call right now and learn how you can stop the maintenance fees and put more money back in your pocket. Their services cost you a lot less than you think, and you'll save a lot of money over time. Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline now. It's a free consultation.
800-890-5957. 800-890-5957. 800-890-5957. That's 800-890-5957.
This is Chase Briscoe, and you're listening to PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
It's hard to believe in this day and age in the United States of America that children are hungry.
Our time on this planet is short. We have to give back to those in need.
Every child has a chance, no matter what obstacles they may encounter.
Never have we been taxed more as a society to help kids the way we are right now.
At Speedway Children's Charities, our mission is simple. Help every child we can.
Because all children
deserve joy
and hope
and love.
I'm PRN's Doug Turnbull, co-host of the 5 to Go podcast, a weekly deep dive into 5 motorsports issues. Devin Kupka gives the Gen Z view.
One thing that I've never seen before, when the cars got 4 wide, everybody stood up cheering.
And championship-winning mechanic Dan Elliott leans on his decades in the garage and promoting.
Unless everybody is aware of the rules, then no, it's not fair for everyone.
Listen to the 5 to Go podcast on GoPRN.com and subscribe on Apple and Spotify.
Appreciate Ryan Ellis making time to come on the show with us. And Brad Gilley, you've been around this a long time. It's easy to throw all the attention on the stars of any of the series respectively. But for every Chase Elliott, there's a guy like Ryan Ellis that's out there trying to crack the top 20.
Yeah, and look, one of the bigger things that he talked about in that time we spent with him was the fact that they don't have a leased engine program. And the whole deal with that leased engine program is the fact that you have a fresh engine in your car every single week. They might be running an engine that could be on its 5th or 15th race, and it's definitely not built to, say, the same specs as a Hendrick engine or a Roush Yates engine, or something that comes from Toyota or something like that. So that's a really tough thing. Like you said, we can make the cars turn. We just don't have the horsepower when we get back on the gas.
So wish him the best of luck. And I've known his car owner, Mario Goslin, for 30 years. Covered Mario when he ran the Hooters Pro Cup Series. So wish him the best. So let's make the transition over to this right now.
It's time for another edition of Green Flag, Black Flag. One of my favorite times. Enjoy this. All right, we play it this way, folks. I'm going to read some carefully prepared statements dealing with the sport, and our panel will listen to those statements, mull them over, and if they agree with the statement, it gets a green flag. If they disagree, it gets a black flag. And we have a couple of other things tucked up our sleeve. If they're all in agreement, yeah, the way it goes right there. I'm going to start with Doug Rice today. We never start with Doug. The drivers that are currently in the top 16 will remain there after the end of the regular season, Doug.
I'm going to go black flag. I think out of these next 3 races, we get another new winner. And 2 months ago, I would have not said that. But I just feel like there are so many good drivers below that cut line that can win. One of them's going to do so.
All right, Alexis.
Yeah, I'm going to say black flag, too. I can't disagree with Doug. I think, especially when you're throwing a Daytona in there, the chance of a new winner is pretty high.
Very good. Brad.
I will concur, and I will say black flag, but not for the same reason of a new winner. I'll say black flag because of the randomness as to what can happen. Whether it's Watkins Glen this weekend, Daytona coming up in a couple of weeks, I think there are too many things that can happen that could actually hurt someone who's on the plus side of the cut line right now and allow someone else to pass him.
All right. Off to Alexis for number 2 here. Brad Keselowski will win one of the next 3 races.
Ooh, that's a good one. You know what? I'm going to be an optimist today. I'm going to be on Brad's side of the fence today, and I'm going to say green flag for that. I think, I made a case earlier for the fact that the setup that they had at Iowa could translate very well in Richmond, and let's go with him winning Richmond. Why not?
All right, Brad, what do you think?
Well, he's got a cool first name, so how can I not say green flag?
Doug Rice.
I'm going to make it unanimous. I think the old guy's got a win in him in the next 3 races, and he somehow or another, as we all love to say, punches his ticket to the playoff. Does anybody actually punch tickets anymore?
I don't know what that is.
Trains,
Yeah.
maybe? I think so.
That's so much more romantic than show me your imprint on your phone.
Yeah, right.
Hand me that.
Let me scan your QR code.
Yeah. Right.
You call him the old guy. How old is Brad?
Ooh,
he's
that's
somewhere
a good
in his
question.
40s.
He's in his
Somewhere
40s.
in the 40s, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good deal. Let's go to Brad Gilly for this one. Somebody in the Cup field will show that Shane Van Gisbergen can be beaten on a road course.
41. Sorry, 41.
41.
Yep.
I will say green flag. Chris Buescher did it last year. Connor Zilic did it in an Xfinity Series race. I don't know that Shane Van Gisbergen will go 4 for 4, although he could have had 4 road course wins, even though I don't believe in the coulda, woulda, shoulda. He was pretty darn strong at COTA as well.
All right, Doug Rice.
No. He's going to win by 8 seconds at Watkins Glen.
Okay.
Just demolish them, demoralize them, and they're all going to feel like they don't belong.
All right, Alexis, will it be that way?
Yeah, I'm going to say green flag. I think he can be beat, and the reason why is because as good of a driver as he is, you can't always make everything go your way. What if he has a bad pit stop? What if there's a loose wheel? What if there's a wreck that happens near him and he gets caught up in it? Then you could have someone like a Ty Gibbs come and win, or a Chris Buescher. I think he has a very good shot, and I think he's going to go in as the huge favorite to win. But these races, they play out tricky sometimes, and you never know what can happen.
All right. We have another one. This question is not like the others, as they say. We spent a lot of time at the very top of the show talking about Brad's wedding at this site, Mount Rushmore. And I thought I would do a Mount Rushmore question. Now, you guys, you buzz in with your voices. If you get this one first, you're the winner for the day. You get all the points and all the cash that we can scrounge up here in the control room. Okay? Here we go. At Mount Rushmore, put the presidents on Mount Rushmore in order of when they served. Alexis goes, okay, I'm out.
I'm out.
Brad.
All right. Brad says
George Washington.
All right, George Washington.
All right. And then you have, Thomas Jefferson came before Lincoln, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Thomas
Yes,
Jefferson, Abe Lincoln, and Teddy Roosevelt.
Correct, sir. Correct.
Yes.
How much money can we scrounge up here in the control room? What you guys got
I
in
dropped
your
a quarter
pockets?
the other day.
Oh,
when I
you
was in
did?
there.
Okay, we'll get
Yeah.
that for you. Okay, very good. That's green flag, black flag, and from another day here.
Teddy Roosevelt may be the most quotable president of all of those. Even though Lincoln gets a lot of run, but Teddy Roosevelt is an undervalued president.
Give me a Teddy quote.
Walk softly,
but
and carry a big stick.
That's
There you
probably his
go.
best one. And then there's a great quote. It's a little bit more involved about woe is to the people that don't know the agony of defeat and the thrill of victory, who walk in the dim twilight that is mediocrity. And he just speaks to the fact that you have to fail and you have to triumph. And if you don't do both in your life, then your life is just sort of this gray, ghost-like past.
Doug Rice, ladies and gentlemen.
Paid attention in history class.
Love
Yeah.
that.
I just love
There you
Teddy
go.
Roosevelt. We would not have a national park system if it weren't for Teddy Roosevelt. There would not be a Mount Rushmore. There wouldn't be a Yellowstone Park, because Teddy was a big sportsman. He loved to go out and shoot stuff, but he also realized if we don't set aside big swaths of land, we're not going to have any more of this. So the next time you visit a national park, thank old Teddy Roosevelt.
For sure.
And by the way, Teddy Roosevelt's charge up San Juan Hill in the Spanish-American War, he did that in unison with other people, and almost all of the troops, and a lot of people don't know this, a little trivia for you, that were with Teddy Roosevelt on that famous charge up San Juan Hill were African-American troops. There you go.
Your
I love the
history
history
lesson for the
This
day,
is awesome.
folks.
I
Yeah.
love it.
I love Teddy Roosevelt. I just don't think he gets enough play. You know where you see a lot, learned a lot about Teddy Roosevelt is the movie A Night in the Museum.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Great movie.
With Robin Williams.
Yeah, Robin Williams is Teddy Roosevelt,
Uh-huh.
and then that's pretty good. Okay, sorry we got off track there, but love me some Teddy. All right, I got to do the Teddy Toyota rundown here for how they finished. Chase Briscoe, man, the guy's doing well. He finished second in the Toyota. Bubba Wallace, who came on late, this guy was 2 laps down earlier in the race, rallied past a bunch of cars late, finished 6th. 15th went to John Hunter. Eric Jones was 16th. 17th, Christopher Bell. 19th was Tyler Reddick. Ty Gibbs, 21st. 24th, bad day for Denny Hamlin, but he's already got 4 wins this year. And Riley Herbst, he continues to struggle in his inaugural season in Cup, finished 30th. That is your Toyota Performance Report. Brought to you by, of course, Toyota. For the latest Toyota Gazoo racing information, visit Toyota Racing. Visit TGRNA, and there's a .com on the end of that. We'll be back right after this.
From fueling NASCAR champions on the track for over 20 years to innovating 94 Octane, the highest octane on the market. Performance is what Sunoco does. All Sunoco fuel at the pump meets the same top-tier standards as the fuel used in NASCAR. From the track to your tank, you can trust Sunoco to help your vehicle perform at its peak.
Welcome to the land of the free, where we pledge allegiance to the flag, salute racing's rich history, and raise a drink to the new gladiators who dare take on the last great Coliseum. Bass Pro Shops Night Race NASCAR Playoff Weekend returns to Bristol Motor Speedway September 11th through the 13th. Get a weekend package and a camping spot and make it a weekend to remember. It's not just a night race, it's Bristol, baby.
This is Ross Chastain, and you're listening to PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
Time to pull down on the handle and start rolling them here at Las Vegas Dallas Motor Speedway.
The green flag flies at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
We're about to contest the Coca-Cola 600.
We're racing at Texas Motor Speedway.
Now Keselowski goes way up the racetrack.
Here comes Harrison Burton. He rockets to the lead.
Trouble. Car goes around. It's Chris Buescher.
Joey Logano battles to the outside. They come back to the start-finish line.
Bubba Wallace looks inside, and now here's Byron. Takes a quick left to block him. They head back to one.
Here goes Ross Chastain. He's going to the bottom of the racetrack.
Bubba goes up. Blaney hits the outside wall off of turn 2.
Can Christopher Bell do anything with him? He gets down to the bottom of the racetrack.
Briscoe dives to the bottom of the racetrack, side by side. They get loose. They spin. Now Tyler Reddick does a 360. So does Briscoe.
Heading into turn number 7 as he wraps it around. The crowd is cheering for Daniel Suarez here on this final lap.
Allmendinger gets into Alex Bowman. Ross Chastain back out to the front for the final time.
This is PRN.
Always have a good time here on Fast Talk. Once again, congrats to Brad Gilley back from his wedding with Kathleen up in South Dakota, and he returns there on his motorcycle this weekend. But now it's time for this.
One last thing.
So, in honor of being in the afterglow of being married here, let's go to Brad Gilley.
Thank you very much, Doug, and everyone appreciate that. My one last thing, and this really goes to what my experience was this past week, and to Doug's point earlier talking about national parks, get out there and explore. Like up in South Dakota, you have Mount Rushmore, but you have, the Badlands National Park. You have Custer State Park, which is amazing. You can see all the buffalo running around. You've got the Crazy Horse, monument, which is being constructed right now. So many different things, but here's the other thing. Get out and explore. But also get out and explore in your hometown. I've always found it fascinating that for whatever reason, we typically don't go see the attractions in the place where we live. For me here in Dallas-Fort Worth, I still haven't been to the Kennedy Museum. Doug, you live in North Carolina. You might have been there once or twice. For whatever reason, we do not go see the attractions in our hometown. That's my goal this next year, to go explore the things right at home, because we spend a lot of time exploring things away from home. So go out there and do both.
That's a great point.
Alexis?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to echo some things that Brad has said in the past just about how our company is constantly putting on events. And obviously what we do, the bread and butter for Speedway Motorsports, is the races that we hold. But there are so many other cool events at our racetracks across the country on any given weekend. I went to Monster Trucks here at Charlotte with my almost 4-year-old son on Saturday night, and it was a blast. He had the best time. So if you live close by to a Speedway Motorsports facility, look at their events page. Look at the things that they have to do, especially family-friendly events. There's so many of them that we host as facilities. And let me tell you, if they have half as much fun as my son had on Saturday night, it will be well worth it.
I'm glad Ollie had a good time.
He did. He had a fantastic time.
His real name is Oliver, which I love because that was my dad's name.
Yeah.
But I don't think he ever got called Ollie in his entire life. I want to follow up on my Teddy Roosevelt love here. Here is my favorite quote that I sort of paraphrased earlier. Thrice happy is the nation that has a glorious history. Far better is it to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to take rank with the poor spirits who neither enjoy much nor suffer much, because they live in the gray twilight that knows neither victory or defeat.
Love it.
That's I love it. Love it.
Poetry.
You gotta take
That's awesome.
You gotta take a chance there. And sometimes you're gonna lose, but that's in life where you grow. I've learned a lot more about the stuff that I've screwed up than the stuff that I got right. Let's whip around the room here and talk about Watkins Glen.
Watkins Glen.
Yeah, what are you thinking?
Well, as I said before, I think everybody is looking towards SVG to be, in victory lane come the checkered flag. But there are so many things that can happen during these races. I think the other driver that I'm going to kind of have my eye on is Ty Gibbs, because he's somebody that could really shake things up. He has been exceptional on the road courses this year, and he could make a name for himself this weekend.
Ty needs it, Brad.
Yeah. Hey, look, I just look forward to chaos, carnage, and violence, and some great racing along the way.
That'd be a great name for a band. Chaos, Carnage, and Violence now playing on the center stage. Thanks a lot to our entire team here for putting on Fast Talk. Hope you enjoyed it. And you know what? We will be back next week with a whole bunch more Fast Talk.
Fast Talk was presented by Toyota. For the latest Toyota Gazoo racing information, visit tgrna.com. And by Sunoco. From NASCAR to your car, Sunoco Fuel helps your car reach peak performance. This is PRN.